Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Wherever you at, I want to thank you for checking out the Cali Truck Stop Theater. I just figured that maybe you would enjoy a little bit of this driving here. I'm just leaving the area of like Coos Bay, Oregon. I just recently got off of home time. I went home for a little bit, and so got my first load since then, and now I'm headed down to California. I'm about to go down towards Fontana and deliver this load. So I'm going to be in Southern California. Hopefully it's going to be a in and out type of deal where I'm not there for forever. But I just thought that maybe you might want to take a look at this, just take a look at this drive. I mean, it's kind of, the roads are kind of wet today. That's because of, there's rain and stuff like that, rain and mist in the area. It's been raining and snowing in various places for a few days or so. It's been, it's been most of the week, really. And it's been raining and snowing periodically through the day in various parts of the coastal area of Oregon. And so, I just, like I said, I'm enjoying the drive, and that's why I decided to share this video with you. And I especially like these drives where I don't have nobody on the road, as far as being in front of me or anything like that. And I got these twisty, windy roads here, and I like having to go through these little back roads here, through the trees, and getting the view off of cliffs and stuff like that. Although I haven't really come across the high cliffs and stuff around here just yet. But it's such a beautiful look out here, I'm just enjoying the way that it's looking out here. I'm enjoying the way that God has put this all together. I mean, you look at all the colors and everything, all the natural colors, and it's like all the natural colors just blend together. They match. I mean, you look at the different variations of green mixed with the brown and mixed with the gray. I mean, they just match. Oh man. So well, maybe you don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time talking about it, but I just recently had a court dispute. It was an appeal to the original court dispute because I was in Hermiston, Oregon, back in 2019, and I was pulled over by a police officer who claimed that I had ran a red light. He has no evidence of me doing such a, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm trying to find the right word for it. It's an offense. He doesn't have any proof that I had done such an offense, and I honestly believe that I'm innocent of that. It's not only do I believe it, I know it. He claimed that I ran a red light, and he didn't have any. He claims that the light was green on his side that controls his side of traffic. So he automatically assumes that I had a red light, and this is false. I never had a red light as I passed through the intersection, But here's the thing: is like when I was approaching the intersection, the light was turning yellow, right? And when it turns yellow, the appropriate action is that you need to stop at the appropriate place before entering the intersection. You need to do that. And as I was going through the intersection, I had a yellow light. There wasn't a way for me to actually stop, in a safe manner. So I needed to go through the light. Now, I've explained this, many times, is that the light sequence was too short, and that I wasn't even doing the speed limit. I was below the speed limit, and I was even slowing down because just right beyond the traffic light there's a speed change, So I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that I'm safe. And when I come across a situation where I cross the intersection on a yellow light, I guess this officer thought it was an opportunity to pull me over and say that I had ran a red light. Now he had his reasons why, talking about well the thing that he's standing upon is that he saw a green light on his side, and that was total bull. I asked him how long had he seen the green light. He said at least for about a second. Now if you actually concentrate on how much time a second is, when you look at it, a second is enough time to react to move out into an intersection. What most people do is, like, as soon as it turns green, you're already on the gas pedal, pushing out there on the intersection. So he said that at least for 1 second, his light was green. And I have some problems with that, is because if his light had ever turned green while I was in the intersection and I had a yellow light, that raises the question of, well, if that's the case, well then those lights are foul. Those lights are not synchronized properly. Furthermore, if the light was already green by the time I entered the intersection, which he claims that he didn't notice me until I actually, quote unquote, barreled through the intersection. I'm like, what are you talking about? I barreled through the intersection. What do you mean by that? That I barreled through the intersection? There was no barrel into the intersection. But nonetheless, he wrote me up a ticket with this lie that I ran a red light, and it didn't. I didn't. So, in the initial court hearing, I explained this. I'm like, I never ran a red light. I had a yellow light where the light was transitioning into a red light, but I never got a red light. And when I passed the limit line to enter into the intersection, it definitely was yellow, and it stayed yellow all the way through. The light turned yellow on me as I was starting to come into the intersection. So there was no real way that I could actually stop in a timely and a safely manner. If I had tried to stop with the amount of time that I had and the distance that I had, I would have slid right into the intersection, which in my mind it would have made it an unsafe condition to make a stop like that. Now there's a law in Oregon that allows me, and I assume that in many other states there's a law or statute is what they call it, that will, that supplements the red light statute, that if a vehicle is not able to stop in time in a safe manner, then that vehicle can proceed through the intersection with caution. And my defense was that exactly, because I performed that action exactly to plan. There was no way for me to stop safely. I was driving under the speed limit. I was slowing down because the speed was changing from a higher speed to a lower speed. I did everything that I could in that situation. But the officer lied on me. The officer gave a false testimony saying that I ran a red light. Now, here's what makes this more, here's what makes this case more appalling to me, because an officer can go into court and without any evidence, no witnesses, no supporting evidence other than his testimony, saying that I did what he said that I did, and actually win his case against me. And the appalling thing is that if an officer can accuse you for something as simple as a traffic violation, wants to stop this officer from accusing me or anybody else from doing anything, for committing any other supposed violation or even a crime. What's to stop an officer from making such claims without evidence? And the thing about traffic court, it's a kangaroo court, really. Because in traffic court, the rules are way different than in a criminal case. And in traffic court, it's designed to make it difficult for any defending party to win their case. And it's wrong. And, I'm just now thinking I should write my congressperson. I just thought about that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna write my congressperson about that, because it's so unfair, and it needs to change. These rules need to change, because this is not right. Because a lot of people have heard how the court system can be corrupt, because they're funneling money into the court system and into the state and all this stuff. They're funding all this money in there, and it's just generating a revenue. And they're tagging people left and right, bam, 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 and they're getting these people on simple infractions. Now I can don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand if you're being unsafe, or you destroy property, or you're negligent on something, I understand. That's when these rules come in place and become just, but for an officer to make claims and make false claims against somebody because there's an opportunity for maybe for being in the gray or whatever. There's an opportunity for this officer to make a claim or make a false claim against the person that possibly they didn't commit any wrongs. I find that troubling, and I don't appreciate when police officers use their power to become a revenue maker. And I was in a small town when this happened, and small towns are notorious for this type of dealing, where the officer and the judge, correlate with one another in the court system. If you should decide to fight it, in a lot of these small towns, not only has its traffic court playing by different rules, but when you start going into these little towns, they start even playing by even more different rules. So it makes it more confusing or more difficult to fight your case when it comes to traffic violations in court. And so, I appealed the initial trial because the judge, I can tell right off the bat that he was already going to find me guilty of this running a red light. And even under the circumstances that I presented and the law statute that I gave, stating that I had the legal parameters to make such a decision and to do what I had done. And even with all that, the judge still sided with the police officer. Why? Because he's a police officer. Now, you can't tell me anything different. You can't tell me that, it was something else. No, it's because this dude is a police officer, and this dude, I don't know how many people he's done I don't know how many people he's done gone after and filed complaints against somebody for allegedly committing a violation, a traffic violation, and just getting away with it. Most people just pay the ticket without even contesting it, which I think is a terrible thing to do. I mean, at least fight for it. At least fight and hope that the officer does not show up for court. But if he does, be prepared to have some kind of defense. Try to fight it. It's so much better, especially if you're a CDL truck driver. It's so much better to have fought the ticket and lost than to just simply pay the ticket. I mean, that's nuts to do something like that. That is nuts to do something like that. And so, I just recently had an appeal for it, and unfortunately for me, the officer showed up once again, and I had a different judge, and we hashed it out, and the judge still found me guilty. This other judge still found me guilty of running a red light. Yet there's no proof from the officer that I ran a red light. It's just strictly his testimony. It's him saying that I ran a red light. He could not confirm that I had a red light. And that's what he stuck to. And the judge agreed with him. And that shouldn't be how our justice system works. Our justice system, especially when it comes to court, traffic court, should make the officer or the complainant 100%. I'm trying to find the word for it now. It should be 100% responsible for proving without a shadow of a doubt that I committed a violation. It shouldn't be for the defendant to come up or to prove that they are 100% not guilty. It should be up to the complainant to bear the burden of proof. But see, that's not the way it is in traffic court. In traffic court, you are guilty until proven innocent. And there's many examples in criminal court where that happens. A lot of the times in criminal court, especially when it comes to blacks and Mexicans, that in many times these people that are caught up in some kind of criminal case or whatever are actually they are guilty in the eyes of the law and the court, and they have to prove their innocence. You know, and it's really unfair and it's unjust. But you know, I'm glad that I did this video because it got me to brainstorm. You know, I'm gonna contact my representative and see what kind of help I can get out of that, because this is wrong, and I'm trying to find every way that I can fight that's going to be able to overturn this for me, because this is my livelihood. This is the way that I make money, and me having to come in and go to court and prove my innocence on something that is really petty. And that's exactly what it is. This officer was being petty. Instead of out there trying to fight real crime, he's spending his time trying to make revenue for wherever this money goes through the court system. Now I've done my research on how some of these I'm gonna call it crime ring, because it's really stealing money from people and putting it into these judges. It goes into judges' pockets. It goes to fund prisons in many cases. Now, I'm not saying that this particular place where I got my citation is involved in that. I can't prove that. But if you do research, you'll find information that there are places, there's certain places that this happens. The city gets revenue off of ticket violations, you know, traffic violations. And there are instances where police officers are instructed to go out and ticket people so that these people will be accountable to pay the courts these unbelievable amounts, you know, as a fine, which goes to feeding the pockets of these judges, to supply finances to these police departments so that they can be more militarized and they can get all these fancy toys, and so they can become more oppressive to the citizens that they serve or that they're supposed to serve, and they become tyrants instead of servants. That's just the cream. That's just the top of the iceberg. So whenever you get a ticket and you believe that you are not guilty of committing a crime or committing a violation, then it is your duty. It is your duty to stand up and fight against that. Protect yourself, especially if you're a commercial driver, because the laws are not favorable to a commercial driver when you commit these violations. And you know, I'm not saying per se that a lot of these laws or what have you are a bad thing. I believe that we need these rules in order to keep in order to keep everybody on the roadway safe. But when it comes to the point that you have somebody who has the power to say that you committed a violation, when you have somebody who has that kind of power and they're doing things in an unjust manner, they're not doing it because you actually were being unsafe. They're doing it because they found an opportunity to make some money off you, and that's a crook. It's a crook in the sense that you're not trying to find an opportunity to make somebody's life better. You're trying to find an opportunity to take away a valuable resource that people need these days. And then on top of that, if they refuse to pay, you put the cuffs on them. You impose. When I say you, I mean the law enforcement. They impose penalties and fines, and then they want to incarcerate you because you failed to pay them. I mean, that's like how the mob works. You pay me, I'll leave you alone. If you don't pay me, I'm gonna go send Guido to come over and take out your kneecaps. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send the muscle out to you to try to extract the money that I said that you owe me because I said so. And that's exactly how the mob works, and that's exactly how these a lot of these court systems work. They're not there for justice. They're there for the love of money. And I believe that in my case in particular, I don't think it was because of justice. If you were to actually hear the whole story of how I got caught up in this mess, you would realize the same thing, that this ain't about justice. This ain't about a driver being pulled over by the police and cited because he made an unsafe move. This is about an officer who found an opportunity to be able to make a claim to to be able to extract money from an outsider. And he probably, he knows that being a truck driver, he knows that a lot of the Warner trucks are not from the area. He knows that. A lot of these people are from out of town, and so if you go after people that are from out of town and are not from the area, those people are your money makers. Those are your revenue people, because the probability of somebody coming back to fight the ticket is slim to none. You're going to have more, you're going to have more people that are just going to pay the ticket because they might not be able to make it back out to. They're probably not going to make it back out to the city to contest the ticket. So a lot of times I just pay the ticket off. Well, for me, luckily, I'm able to do that. I'm able to come back to the town if I have my fleet managers properly schedule me to get there on time to fight it. I have that I guess you can call it a luxury, and so I intend to use it as long as I'm able to, because to me it's unjust, and it is unjust, and I'm gonna fight that. I'm going to appeal it again, but this is going to be a real appellate court where I'm going to have the attorney. I'm going to have to have an attorney, stand up and fight for him. So I need to find an attorney. I need to figure out how I'm going to pay for the attorney. I need to figure out how I'm going to pay for this violation in case they're going to make me pay it before I get an appeal. So I'm gonna have to figure some things out, but I'm pretty sure that God's got my back, and I know that it's not always gonna be an easy ride for me, just because I'm a follower of Christ. I know that. But I look at it as it's being a test. I'm at a point in my life where I guess I'm being my faith is being tried and tested. That's just the way that I look at it, the way that I feel about it. And I believe that I'm going to come out on top of this eventually, and when I do, there's going to be some, what I consider payback. There's going to be some hell to pay. That's the way I'm going to put it. But when that does happen, I think I'll fill it you guys in when that does happen. But in the meantime, just continue to, check out the ride, I guess. I'm gonna let the video ride for a little bit, and that's it. I need to get me some water. I need to drink me some water anyway. So enjoy.